Welcome to another episode of The King's Couch. I'm your host, Sulo King, and I have the pleasure today on this episode to sit down with an old classmate of mine from the high school days at SCPA, Mr. Carleton Overstreet, who is an entrepreneur as well as a musician. Carleton, how are you?
Too blessed to be stressed, Sulo. Man, it's an honor to be in your presence, and thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure, like I said. Carleton, so why don't we go back to the early days of how you got into music, how you really discovered your creativity, and we'll just kind of take it from there.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if you recall during our yearbook baby photos, at age 2, I was handed a pair of drumsticks for my second Christmas. That was the beginning to a whole lot of noise. As a drummer, as a young drummer, fast forward to church at the age of 9, I want to say 9 or 10, I began playing at Calvary Baptist Church, nearby the Coronado Bridge in Barrio Logan. And, that took me, into my, teenage years, where I played drums at the San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts, where we met each other.
That's right. And we also had video production classes together.
Yes.
And Carleton ran the news segment. He was actually technically kind of like my boss in that sense. We were in K-Arts together, which was our school-based TV show. And SCPA was just a very special and amazing time. We were able to really connect and figure out like different avenues of what creativity we really had inside of us. And it was great, like meeting place for others that were kind of either lost or just trying to find themselves. And I feel very fortunate to have gone there, and I'm sure you do as well.
Oh, most definitely. The School of Creative and Performing Arts, just reflecting on it, was like a workforce. It wasn't a normal school. We developed a lot of skills that both of us utilize to this second. I mean, from setting up microphones to, I'm in pre-production right now as we speak for a gig. We're out in Carlsbad at Coyote Bar and Grill, and so we're both, Sulo and I, from production to music, still very much in our element, and it all started at the School of Creative and Performing Arts, a melting pot for creatives.
Definitely. And, people trip out when I talk about my high school. Some people are like, oh my God, like, why do you care so much about high school and all your friends from high school? And how are you still in touch? And when I tell them about it, they're just kind of blown away. They're like, oh man, I'm jealous. I kind of want to, or I wish I could have gone to a school like that. And I'm very fortunate for my mother, putting me on the waiting list. It took me 4 years to get in. I got in freshman year, and I met so many amazing people. And to this day, to be able to still do business, and have that everlasting friendship with you, it means the world.
Man, likewise, Sulo, and I'm so proud of you. I mean, to our listeners, Sulo has come a long way. And he made reference to me being like his boss. My real full name is Carleton Edward Overstreet Jr., and my initials is C.E.O. I don't think anyone will argue that I've always carried myself as a boss. And, I model and role, by setting an example for others. And I met Sulo at a very, both of us were boys, but I would like to say I was a little ahead of the game as far as maturity goes. And I had a lot of responsibilities at the School of Creative and Performing Arts as a news producer, as well as the K-Arts host, on top of being a musician, on top of maintaining good grades and women or girls. So when Sulo would come in to K-Arts, just kind of like super lackadaisical or, chill on life, I'm like, bro, like we got, in my mind, money to make. And so to see him owning his own businesses and working as a life coach and just being a supportive friend. It is a true honor to be sitting here, reflecting on life with you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and that's one thing I will definitely 100% admit that I noticed about you. First impressions, I was like, wow, he's kind of bossy. But I will say this. My first impression, I was like, this guy's driven. And it was inspiring to see that and see others like that. Me, I'm always been known as the class clown back in the high school days. But that's just because I like to entertain.
Right.
And I transferred all my creative energy into writing and singing and anything arts-based I can get my hands onto. Because if I can put a smile on somebody's face, that's all that really mattered to me back then. And even today, that's a huge thing. From doing concert promotions to owning and operating a recording rehearsal studio. I just love giving back, and now I'm doing charitable work. And I mean, you and I, we work in tandem all the time. We have for years. And I feel like SCPA was a big influence for all of us.
Most definitely. And the teachers were like aunts, uncles, mothers, and fathers versus just teachers.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Rothschild came out to my grand opening party, you remember?
Hey, and Mr. Robinson came to my 40th birthday party and literally cut a rug, Right. And, on and on and on. These are teachers and Mrs. I'm drawing a blank. It'll come to me, but literally teachers follow us in adult life, and they come to our gigs. They're supportive at our events. They check in with us on social media, and it's amazing. Our counselor, I believe, was Mrs. Winston, your counselor as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved her, and I just want to give a special shout out to her.
Yes, rest in peace.
She unfortunately passed away. I believe it was due to COVID.
Yeah, the COVID-19 related, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that for sure.
We'll get into that a little later, but she definitely made an impact on me. And like you said, I've matured a lot since then. I mean, cut me a little slack. I was a teenager.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, trust me.
But
I was a teenager too. Do you remember when we all got suspended for drinking alcohol on tour, like all of the choral ensemble?
I never went on tour, but I remember hearing about all that.
Yeah.
The only thing I ever got in trouble for was smoking weed. But that was another thing too. I was a big stoner back then. But yeah, I mean, we all had our moments there, but I mean, we all came together.
Yes.
Especially when tragedy, happened with Athena.
Athena, yeah.
Yeah.
Athena,
I remember that was
peace.
the first time I had to deal with that. And it was very moving, and shout out to her as well. A life taken way too short.
Car accident. Yes, rest in peace, Athena. And I also remember, I can reflect on when Mr. Rothschild came and told us that he had cancer.
That was a big one, too.
Yeah, dude. I remember, I had to leave the classroom and bawled out, because he is like a father figure to both of us.
Oh, he because I was
and he's still here.
I was a slacker in video production. My grade was like a D, but he still let me into K-Arts because he saw how I would dedicate my lunches after getting permission from him to go in there and edit videos, mostly like skateboarding videos that I'd shoot. And when he came out to my, fast forward when he came out to my studio opening, he was so proud of me.
Yes, we all were.
He's like, I always knew you would do something big. Mm-hmm. And he's like, when I saw the response of how many people were coming out, I had to be there.
That's Mr. Rothschild, man.
Just you alone, you brought out like 150 people that day. I mean, that was the beauty part. And still to this day, I'm still producing bands, and I have other studios I'm working with, and still have plans to open up another facility one day. But when the pandemic happened, I wanted to just help people.
Yes.
To my best capacity. My other passion is nutrition and fitness, and I've always felt like I've had the ability to be very easy to talk to, very understanding, and I studied in a form of advanced psychology called ecology, and their whole concept is in order to help others, first of all, you got to be centered and understand yourself and feel comfortable. And then you got to find a connection with the other person. Instead of just giving mindful advice you think is good for you, you got to put yourself in, your patient's shoes.
Absolutely.
And I was just blown away. And I feel like I learned a lot. And it was almost like a healing and therapeutic experience going through all that training, too. Because the way they presented it was so real, And it just, it blew my mind. And now I'm using that almost every single day, trying to help people. Because, especially with the pandemic, there's so much mental toughness to go through.
Right.
People are stressed out. People are restless. They can't sleep. And, to be able to help them find ways to, ease their mind, ease their pain that they're going through. I've been using my own creative experience by telling, hey, make a list of 5 things and try to pursue a hobby, whether it's painting, whether it's playing guitar. Some people have limitations, physically, mentally, so I try to work within their means, but I think that is, in my opinion, one of the greatest things that we can do to let out all that stress, because stress is the root of all problems.
Most definitely. And Sulo, one of the many gifts that I'm grateful for is my talent of playing drums. What an outlet.
That you've been playing drums and you had chops back in high school, and boy, now you're so seasoned. And I remember shooting that music video for Rising Star.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
What was it? Keenan Ivory Wayans had his own talk show back then. And that...
Shout out to, rest in peace to my Uncle Francois, a.k.a. Jeffrey Dixon.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they came in and he was like, nephew, I need you to shoot a video for us. I'm like, dude, okay, but your whole grown-up band is gonna have to come to my high school campus, and they were so impressed.
They were so seasoned.
Yes.
Musically, they were so tight, and
then
your uncle was so cool.
I ended up joining that band as an
remember
adult.
That. I was just gonna segue into that. And you know what I ended up doing? Okay, senior year of high school for us is when we had to do senior year presentations in order to graduate.
Right.
I didn't take it seriously, failed the first time. They're like, you want to graduate? You got to take this seriously. I was like, all right. I used that video.
There you go.
How to make a music video.
There you go.
That was my presentation. Suited up, gave the whole presentation like I was a CEO at a board meeting. But yeah. That was an amazing experience, and now I'm making music videos.
See how that works?
It's just I went from being a daydreamer, living in the clouds, not having 100% focus. My ADHD back then was through the freaking roof.
Yes, it was.
but now I'm on supplements and all kinds of other things to help control that. And, hey, nobody's perfect. We all have our issues. But I'm crossing those childhood wish list dreams right off that list.
Right.
And it's so gratifying.
And like you've been alluding to this entire interview, teamwork makes the dream work, man. And when you called and said, hey, Carl, I got to get you on an interview, I did my best to not, to make this a priority, because within this brotherhood, it's important for us to be able to support each other unconditionally. So, again, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your strength, your tenacity. It's rewarding to hear, your healing work. Literally, I'm texting your business card to, potential partners and others that may be able to generate your healing business more clientele. So,
Appreciate that.
You always have my support. And one thing that I connect to also in the healing space is working with young adults between the ages of 18 and 26. I manage a home for at-risk youth. I don't like saying at-risk. I'll just say youth that are navigating mental illness, from PTSD to manic depression to bipolar, schizophrenic, you name it.
See, we can already do business, because the neurofeedback treatments that I provide is my scope of practice. Those are pretty much all the symptoms, and that I can help treat.
Most definitely.
Through that.
And my guys at my home, I manage a property in Encanto. We have 8 young adults between, like I said, 18 and 26 that call me big brother, father, and asshole all in the same day.
Right.
But my job is to just observe and report to their counselors on their progress, and then eventually they graduate into their own home.
Okay.
The process is a stepping stone for independence.
And what influenced you to get into that field?
Thought you never ask. My sobriety, man. I'm 9 years sober. March 29th will mark my 10 years of sobriety from alcohol. I had a choice to make after my 4th DUI, either go to prison or get my shit together.
Okay.
And with the help of my sponsor, shout out to Joey Thornell, and with JAS Recovery, I got on the train, pun intended. If you guys can hear the train in the background, like I said, man, take me to the closest rehab and recovery home so that I could, eventually learn meditation, eventually learn stillness, eventually learn, how to rebuild my self-esteem after taking such a huge hit financially and professionally due to drinking and driving. And once I completed my timeout in the San Diego County Jail and my 4 months, of rehab, I then got assigned to a sober living home. Shout out to Hartman and the Groves family. From there, little Steve Groves introduced me to his father, Big Steve, who was in the baby steps of developing an independent living facility called Mulberry Ranch. And that was 8 years ago. So that coincided right with, my recovery. And from there, he said, Mr. Groves and his son Steve both said that, you'll do well with the youth. They look up to you. They see that you have celebrity friends and you're a musician. And so every kid or teenager, listens to music, and I've been able to afford my mentees plenty of opportunities to meet with celebrities, such as Andra Day, Cassandra.
Yeah, who also went to SCPA as part of the alumni there. And, why don't we talk a little bit about your relationship with Andra Day for a second?
Yes, Cassandra, Andra Day, so proud of her. Congratulations and shout out to her Golden Globe win. We recently reconnected within the last year when Ryan Anthony, an artist, a rapper from Spring Valley, entrepreneur, called me and said, "Hey, C.E.O, you have that nice backyard pool. We're shooting a music video. Need to use your location if you don't mind." I'm like, "No problem." I said, "Who's the music video for or with?" He said, Andra Day. I said, "Oh, no brainer. Come on, pull,
And this is the recent one that just came out, right?
Southeast Summers, yes, by Ryan Anthony featuring Mitchie Slick and Andra Day. So they came and did a shoot. Cassandra or Andra Day's scene was shot in my backyard. You can see that on YouTube. Hundreds of thousands of views at this point. But we were able to connect, and at the time she had recently rapped the U.S. versus Billie Holiday, and she was so excited to see and meet the mentees in the home that I'm, mentoring, because if you've seen or heard or been able to witness the story of Billie Holiday, addiction played a huge role in her career and in her life. And so Cassandra, also, I was able to give the bright idea to Mayor Todd Gloria that she was more than deserving of receiving the key to the city. On our way, leaving a tour at Balboa Park's Starlight Bowl, which I'm on the relaunch committee. And Todd said, "You know what? That's a damn good idea. Let's do it." And so after a few reschedules, now Andra Day has the key to the city. Shout out to that queen. We're so proud of her.
On social media, yeah. Much respect. My sister also went to our school, was very close with Andra. Has a really cool black and white picture that she shot of Andra when she was probably like 14, 15 years old.
Nice.
I should show that to you sometime.
Is she still in Hawaii?
Actually, my sister graduated and got her PhD in sociology and accepted a position as a professor out in Starkville, Mississippi.
Wow. So she went from Hawaii to Mississippi. She was in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, the original timeline, it was here in San Diego, UCSD, and then got her master's at Columbia, and then bounced around because getting into PhD programs is extremely difficult, and then landed in Oahu. Of course, you know, she sees that opportunity.
Right, yeah.
And
waiting for my drum gig out there.
Which we got Matt Dotseth, another SCPA alumni out there that can help hook all that up. He's very connected out there.
What up, Matt?
What up, Matt? Shout out to Matt Dotseth. I was actually just talking to him last night. But yeah, so SCPA, you know, long story short, with our school is a place that produced a lot of superstars.
And for those that don't know, it's like the TV show Fame.
In a sense, yeah. It definitely was. I mean, any walk of life could be accepted there, and you didn't have to fend for yourself.
Right.
And that's what really shocked me about my first day there. People saw me as a new face and were kind and showing me around, and I was like, where am I?
Right.
You know what I mean? And the deal was that I had to go there for a year. No questions asked. Like, I was pretty much forced. And if I didn't like it there, I could go to any high school, you know, that I wanted to, where all my friends were going, which was UC High. And after 3 days, I reported back. I was like, I love this place.
Right.
And, you know, I'm very thankful for that because we're all family.
Yeah,
you know
definitely. What I mean? We were at the grand opening of the Shell in the Embarcadero, Rady Shell, which is the newest venue in San Diego, and I ran into Kim Goring, class of 98.
Saw that on social media.
Shout out to Kim.
And she's got an amazing story. She'll be on my podcast show, too. She's been suffering from a brain cancer for a very long time. And she is a true warrior in my book. And, you know, part of our actual class that we all graduated in 1998. So shout out to her.
Yes. Yeah, we all are, thanks to social media, extremely connected and can give an update in a moment's notice on what each person is up to. So shout out to Kim and all of the class of 98.
Yeah, definitely. And apologize about all the background noise. We're sitting in a coffee shop. Carleton is actually about to sound check for a gig here at the Coyote Bar and Grill, and we're just upstairs at a coffee shop.
Yeah, we're living life out in Carlsbad. Shout out to the community of Carlsbad. I'm actually from Southeast San Diego, but you know, I thought that it would be pretty cool for Sulo to be with me on site, you know, so that he could get the pregame energy of, you know, my drum life.
That's right. And you know what? Fun fact for you. The motto of Carlsbad is "Life is rad in Carlsbad."
I love it, and Carlsbad. So you know, hey, carry on.
That's right, man. What more fitting too? Carleton, Carlsbad.
Right. Where did you do that at? Carlsbad.
Right on. So how many years do you figure you've been drumming for now?
So, and I'm okay giving away my age. I'm 41, and I would like to technically say that I started at age 2, so the math is 39 and growing.
And how long have you been professionally a musician?
I'd say I started at age 8, 9. Yeah,
Okay.
because church paid me.
Oh, wow. Wow, so you've been hustling since you could barely walk, bro.
Praise Jesus, yes. I had my tithes and offering.
Right on, man. Well, you know, Carleton is actually, ironically, most people that we went to high school with hasn't changed. If anything, he's matured in his own way and grown a lot. We all have, and I'm proud of you, bro.
Thank you, man.
Very proud of you. I mean, you've been giving me so many thanks. I feel like you were almost interviewing me for a second.
Well, you know I'm a producer, too.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is somebody told me the other day, he's like, why don't you do something different? Like, you know, the host never gets interviewed unless they go on another show. What if you had a guest interview you? I was like, actually, that's not a bad idea. I might have to do that in a future episode. But
yes, sir.
I got a million stories to tell. But let's talk a little bit about your sobriety. Now, was your poison alcohol?
Yes. Alcohol was my curse and turned into gift. And I say that because I had to change. I had to embrace change, and I also had to come to terms that I was dealing with a demon that made my life unmanageable. So, just like any other typical Cali college student that went east and found freedom at college, shout out to Howard University in Washington, D.C., HBCU. That stands for Historically Black College and University. I'm going to just keep it 150% with you. Weed was too expensive as a college student, and from coming from Cali, we smoked weed. Shout out to Telland.
That's right, man. Wow.
Telland in the 7th grade introduced me to marijuana. A little known fact. But I was a functional pothead and really, kept it low key. But once I went to Howard, I was like, spending $20, $40 a day on a sack of weed versus this newfound $2 40 ounce. Give me the 40 ounce. So college was a party because I was able to function, fully function, magna cum laude, honor student. But I carried that disease into my adulthood and remaining a busybody, going from gig to gig, promoting, and I love to just be discreet and carry my drunk behavior in the car from point A to point B, and that caught up with me 4 times.
Hey, I got reckless too, man. Luckily, I never got a DUI. Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood.
We never got killed in a DUI accident. And
right.
If I had something to pour out to the homies that we have lost along the way due to DUI accidents.
Yes, I have this coffee that I will definitely drip as soon as the barista leaves.
Right. But for me, it was more the music scene that I got caught up in. You get free drinks and
nonstop.
You're excited. And you want something to kind of, mellow you out and
turn you up.
Or turn you up, depending on, the setting and the mood.
Right.
And, I had my moments where I got out of control, too. And when I opened up my studio, that was a big wake-up call for me. Because I was in my early 30s, and I was like, you know what? I'm not in my 20s anymore. I'm not a kid anymore. And now I'm responsible for my livelihood 100% as well as someone else's directly. Being Frank, shout out to Frank Torres.
Amazing, what up, Frank? It's been too long.
Amazing, multi-talented musician and audio engineer, and
the best.
A great business partner. We had a recording studio called Iacon Sound here in San Diego for over 7 years. So shout out to him.
Brought a lot of musicians together, man, and you guys definitely left your mark in the community. So shout out to Sulo and Frank for that endeavor. And one of the highlights was seeing when Mac Miller came through the studio.
That was an interesting experience, and a story for another time. It was only one night when he was on tour, and he was working on that blues hip hop album. But that's just he. I hate to say this, but he was fucked up the entire time he was there. Mm-hmm. And that's just like how this business gets you sometimes. Some people just struggle.
Right.
I've talked to so many celebrities, especially like the actors turned musicians. Their stories are very interesting too because they're more recognizable walking around on the street and they can't have normal lives. So they cope with that pain through, whatever it is, whatever their poison is, whether it's meth, whether it's coke, whether it's alcohol. My demon was always smoking cigarettes. That was a neurotic habit. But in my mind, it felt like it reduced stress and helped calm me down. And I'm so glad that I gotten rid of all of that.
Wow.
I occasionally drink.
Shout out.
Or smoke weed sometimes, and that's about it. But, I'm just, I'm proud of the way that everything turned out for us, and life is full of so many unexpectations. I'd always tell people that one of my main mottos is always expect the unexpected because you never know where life is going to take you.
Yeah, life is full of curveballs, fastballs, and slow pitches. So you just have to be prepared, to swing for the fence. And my sobriety, the gift I mentioned it being, a gift and a curse, came because I was able to learn how to cope, how to deal with the pressures of success, how to, cope with a demanding schedule, being a top producer, dealing with my own ego, my own imperfections, being able to remove the goggles from my eyes and see life clearer, with the help of family, with the help of changed environments, with the help of my sponsor, Joey Thornell, has now become, a shining light, a shining piece of armor, man. I mean, I carry that with a very high esteem because I know how deep I was in liquor.
Right.
And only I know the true depths of the pain and the coping that, I use alcohol for. Because
Right.
I'd come to a gig, people would think that I'm, drinking Sprite. Going into set 3, just blasted, doing drum solos, and no one could tell. I'm just smiling up on the stage.
That's right, man.
Fucked up. Right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the reward of sobriety is helping another person.
I agree 100%. Giving back.
Yes.
And, especially since you've been through that experience, I feel that makes it more effective, in my opinion. That you have that in common, that you can relate to whoever you're trying to uplift and help and mentor, so respect to that.
Most definitely. COVID-19 has also put another business hat on. I had the choice of either just sitting back, collecting unemployment as a musician, or becoming a part of the solution. And the food insecurity in my community has always been a problem. But I picked up, the ball and ran with it. And so 3 days a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays throughout Southeast San Diego, I manage a food distribution for, those in need to just come and pick up free lunches and dinners. And shout out to my partner, Armand Harvey, and all of the frontline volunteers that have done backflips to get over 1 million meals distributed to our community. No questions asked, no judgments passed. Just here's some food, here's a chocolate milk, here's, nourishment, here's some vegetables, here's some PPE items, here's some, resources related to COVID-19, here's some job opportunity flyers. Just, without having this musician life or promoter life, I had to find something to feed my spirit. And the key to sobriety is staying busy. Being able to practice stillness, yes, and, utilize meditation is definitely a part of my balancing act.
Right.
But the give back, and being able to not just, have this idle mind being the devil's playground scenario, really, 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 thankful and grateful for the opportunity to be able to feed the folks. So,
right on, man. That's very moving.
Yeah, and actually tomorrow we're doing a fish fry at Cali Connect on Market Street at 12 noon. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but we'll be doing free broadband services to our community. So, again, just doing the do. There's always volunteer opportunities available. Follow me on social media. My Instagram is at CarryOnCEO. Send me a DM and say, hey, I want to volunteer, and I'll give you an assignment. Again, that's at CarryOnCarryOnCEO. And you'll see flyers for upcoming volunteer opportunities to serve the youth, the elders, and the needy.
And we'll remind our listeners how they can connect with you on social media and get in touch with you, whether they want to hire you for a gig or help give back to the community.
Or if you need help getting sober.
That too.
Most
you
definitely.
are a jack of all trades, my friend.
Yes, I am.
It's so hard to keep up with this guy. Your hustle is like all over the place.
Yes.
And I commend you for that.
Thank
it's
you.
Very admirable.
Thank you, man. And you know what? it was one day. Many of our listeners right now may be thinking like, I need a new start in my business life. Just jump off the cliff, dude. Just jump off the cliff and put faith in God to do what makes you happy. Put together some ideas on a piece of paper and execute. Utilize your circle. Understand that there are people to the left, right, above and below you, although no one's below me, okay, that are willing and capable of helping you drive your entrepreneurial skills to the next level. So get off that slave ship mentality of having to just, do what you got to do at a job that you don't like, and find a true passion and wake up in the morning and go to work, on your own terms. As Sulo knows, when I play drums, I smile, I have a good time. I forget that it's work, and it's afforded me, a comfortable living situation. But the true work comes in, mentoring the young adults that I mentor, helping the community out, and promoting events that keep people encouraged and happy. But you've made it when you forget that you're getting paid for something that you love to do.
Right. Let me ask you this, Carleton. In your opinion, what is the true key to success? What is success for you?
Success to me is being able to look myself in the mirror and accept the man that I'm staring at.
That's interesting. No one's ever put it to me like that before.
I
like that response.
And I've never, that's not scripted. That's success. If I can't look myself in the mirror because of an imperfection or something that I did or someone that I cheated or a goal that I haven't met, I'm not successful that day, that moment. And the beauty of it is, of all of that I just said, is that in 24 hours, we all struggle with success. I'm not successful all 24 hours of each day.
Right.
I'm figuring shit out.
Yeah.
And so when I go to sleep or when I wake up and I meditate or, I embrace my imperfections, but then I go to that mirror and I say, it's another day to strive for greatness.
Yeah, right. Every day's a new day.
Absolutely.
And we all have our imperfections. Nobody's perfect. Insecurity is a hard thing to manage. And, we're only human, so we're going to experience every single type of emotions. A lot of people mask them very well.
Right. Alcohol was my mask, bro.
Right.
It was, you're never going to figure out the real me because I'm drunk. And being able to get clean and sober allowed me to really face my fears and to be in tune with life.
Right.
I have a 10-year-old daughter that I'm in the middle of a 10-year-old daughter in a 10-year custody battle.
Oh my God.
You do the math, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And, I'm here to speak life and encouragement into the struggling single father that is up against the ropes with the mother of their daughter. Hang in there. And to the struggling alcoholic or, addict, you don't have to pick up or use because of the stress being caused, in the situation of you not being able to see or be play an active role in your child's life. But it's a marathon, like Nipsey Hussle says, rest in peace. The marathon continues.
Right. That's true, man.
Yes, sir. Shout out to my daughter, Alasia. Dad is here. I'm working. I'm with my brother, Sulo. And, the fight remains. But I have so many receipts and accountability partners that are helping me and keeping me encouraged as this ongoing tug of war goes on. And I'm not here to bash the mother of my daughter at all. I love and respect her for being faithful to the mission of single motherhood, but I'm here.
Right.
And I pay child support. And I work my ass off to be able to create a legacy for my daughter, and for her to never be able to say that my father didn't provide and that he did not try his best to play an active role in my life. But to this day, right now, to this second, I'm still on a mission to increase my visitations with my daughter, and
right.
to be able play more of an active role. So, there are always, I say that to say that there's always a goal with me. Even if the world doesn't know it until now, our listeners can hear this, but, and I'm being forthcoming and honest, there's always going to be a new goal. And so success to me is looking that man in the mirror and being able to say, you accomplished these goals for the day or for the morning, the afternoon or night, but there's still more goals ahead of you.
Wow. Very eloquently put, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
And shout out to your daughter as well. I haven't met your daughter yet.
Oh, she's a performer too, bro. You're going to see her whether you want to or not. She's a star.
Okay.
And speaking of rising star, her mother and I met in that band.
Oh,
Me
wow.
as a drummer, her as a backup singer turned full-time singer.
Oh.
And
she's got music.
Bro, come on.
In her DNA 100% then.
So for the active listener in this interview, you're going to hear Sulo mention in the beginning of our interview, Rising Star, getting him through high school. And I now have a seed. My daughter is a production of a Rising Star relationship.
Wow, everything does come full circle. Now here's the magic question. What school did you put her in?
I won't disclose that just because of legal reasons.
Okay.
But her mother is the boss, bro.
Ah.
And she is grooming her talent full throttle. And of course, I'm advocating for her to be an SCPA student when time comes.
Okay. Yeah, I figured as much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and eventually that time will come.
Yes.
You know what's cool? I've mentioned this probably a couple times on the show already, but one of my best friends and rhythm guitar player in my band, Authentic Sellout, his son just graduated from SCPA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I have plenty of friends and family members and co-workers in the industry whose children go to or graduated from SCPA, and all that does is reminds us of how seasoned we are. I'm not going to say how old we are,
right.
but how seasoned we are, and how the circle of life really manifests. And I'm just grateful to Tim Farsons, the principal at SCPA, and the school board. And I haven't been on campus, so I'm not going to be that alumni to be like, oh, I'm super active in the school, but I do see the talent that's produced and the family that is still alive at SCPA. So super grateful for that school to be around.
Right on. So we're getting near the end here. We got about maybe 10 minutes left. Out of all the years you've been a professional musician, a promoter, done production, and everything that you've done in the entertainment industry, period, I'm sure you've worked with so many different artists and celebrities. Any notable shout-outs that you want to mention or stories that you want to tell? I mean, I'm sure there's a million, but...
yeah, there's 2 million, bro.
Let's try to condense this a little bit. Has anyone made a major impact...
Most definitely.
On you, like pulled you aside, taking you under their wing, and
too many to name, bro.
Okay,
but
well,
I'll give you some notables.
Or share a couple. Please.
Most definitely. Yeah. Coming out of Howard University as a graduating senior, I worked for MTV Films and had an opportunity to be a set production assistant on Martin Lawrence's Run and Tell That stand-up film.
Really?
And the way that came about was Laretha Jones, the entertainment lawyer, an executive producer for MTV Films, came to my entertainment law class, and I raised my hand, and after she gave a story about supporting Spike Lee's first movie, She's Gotta Have It, I asked her, what was it like when you first met Spike Lee? Basically, the seed plant that you're in front of your next Spike Lee. Fast forward 24 hours later, she had Kim Sizemore, her production coordinator, call me, and I was hired. Had to get on a bike, and I worked 2 days on Martin Lawrence's film Run and Tell That. They spelled my name wrong. They spelled Carleton wrong in the movie credits, but that's okay. It's common to leave out the E in Carleton. And fast forward, as soon as I graduated, this same producer, Laretha Jones, hired me to work on a film called The Fighting Temptations in Atlanta, Georgia, with Beyonce Knowles and Cuba Gooding Jr.
Awesome.
So, I mean, there's too many stories on that set, but I'll just leave it to the listeners like this. Working day and night, 10 to 12 hours for 4 months with Beyonce Knowles, coming straight out of college, we had a blast. And it was a movie centered around church and gospel music. So, I mean, we didn't get out of hand like that type of blast, but there were some crazy nights with Cuba Gooding Jr. Shout out to Cuba, and stay strong, my brother. Fast forward, so that Fighting Temptations, working on that set, tons of connections made. I worked with the OJs, I worked with Shirley Caesar, I worked with Steve Harvey. That was just an all-star lineup in itself, and I was really the go-to guy with everything from, hey, Carleton, can you grab me a water, or Starbucks, to bailing Mike Epps out of jail. I mean, it was just, it was a blast.
You bailed Mike Epps out of jail?
Yeah, and he was due to be at set at 8 a.m. He got arrested the previous night, and my assignment was to go pick him up. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was, there's been some crazy stories to this day. Every time that he's in San Diego or he's touring and a friend wants to see him, do stand-up, he never hesitates to have my tickets at will call. So shout out to Mike Epps. I mean, even just that story alone, him and my father going at it joke for joke. Rest in peace to Big C.E.O. At my sister's first baby shower, all of us there were in tears. So Mike Epps, shout out to him. My dad was a natural born comedian, and they were just roasting each other for hours. So tons of celebrity stories. The time at Drake's house at his OVO mansion in Calabasas. We're shooting a music video. I was there to support a friend of mine. Shout out to Lorraine Chatney Ward, a.k.a. Lorraine SD. We were doing, she was filming as a lead, a Little X music video. We're out in the front lawn at Drake's house, and we're about 2 hours into production, and my homie Akizi was like, "Hey, Carl, just look at me, bro. Don't turn your head." And then I hear this voice out of nowhere that goes like this: "Hey, guys." So I'm following my homie's lead. I'm just staring at him. And then in my peripheral, it's fucking Rihanna.
Oh, shit.
So, like that was during the whole post-breakup Chris Brown and Rihanna drama. She was at Drake's house. So, like the same gear that she was wearing in the paparazzi flick on TMZ the night before, she still had on. I think I'm able to disclose this information now because that's all history. Shout out to A$AP Rocky and Rihanna and Drake and all of his upcoming projects. But just to get that surprise what up from Rihanna, no one knew she was in the house. That was like startling. Shout out to Akizi for keeping me focused and poised to not have a fan moment. But yeah, that was.
We all have fan moments.
Come on, bro. But
we're all professionals. I watched celebrities, fan over each other before right in front of me. You know what I mean? It's okay to admit that we appreciate someone's work. I think a notable quote I saw in a documentary on Sound City is when Tom Petty was working with Carl Perkins.
Okay.
And he was so excited, and his whole point was everybody has a hero.
Everybody is also human, right?
Exactly.
And you're absolutely right. Human moments and hero moments happen, and that's the beauty of life, and being able to expose hey, this is your true emotions. I've looked up to you. Even in our interview right now, we've been able to reflect, applaud, and uplift each other. And it's an honor to be able to sit here with you and you not be at my funeral or vice versa saying, "Oh, Sulo was a great guy. I wish that I had an opportunity to tell him how cool he was." No, now we have something that's permanently documented that Alasia, my nephews, Poopy and Bonk, those are their nicknames, can listen to and say, you know, this is somebody that my dad and my uncle respected.
Well, that's the beauty part, and one of the many reasons why I started this podcast show. To all the listeners that are tuning in to this episode, it has been an absolute pleasure and a fresher breath air to sit down and interview the one and only Carleton Overstreet.
Hey, thank you, brother. And I'm telling you, this is rare. I do not do interviews. I do not give anyone outside of Sulo an hour sit down to just chop shop and friendship, love, sobriety, and family. So, you know, you've done something right to be able to get me before a gig when I'm normally meditating on my power walk and listening to Wu-Tang Clan or, you know, who knows, just to get my head in the game. But man, anytime anytime you need me, you know I'm here.
I appreciate that. And that's exactly why I hit you up, because you know how my brain works. I think outside the box, and I was like, I've never seen him once do a podcast interview. He's always behind the scenes or behind the kit.
Right.
And last question I had before we wrap this up, is there any notable artists or acts that you've actually had the opportunity to jam with or do session work with or play with?
Dwayne Wiggins from Tony was definitely a highlight of someone that I sat down with, played with. Wyclef Jean during his tour, I was able to play kits at one of his play live drums at one of his shows. Mitchie Slick from San Diego, SD legend. Everybody go to 23 Blocks Live on YouTube and you'll be able to see me jamming with Mitchie Slick. Tons of others, but you know, the local heroes are my heroes. You know, there are some true legendary, talented artists right here in San Diego County that I've been honored to work with. I have a show coming up with DJ Bar One. Shout out to DJ Artistic and all of the DJs that I've been able to play drums alongside with, and all of the bands that I've been able to perform with, from Rising Star to Funk's Most Wanted to Wild Side to you name Bernard Battle. I mean, on and on and on. Miko Reed. Yeah. You know, these are celebrities to me. So I want to also leave, and we're having to wrap up here. Go get the COVID-19 vaccine. Do your research. I have to say that this pandemic is real. It's not a plandemic. I've been to 3 funerals in the last week, all COVID-19 related. We also gave our roses in this interview to our high school counselor, Mrs. Janice Winston, who lost her life, her battle to COVID-19. I mean, do our community and the world a favor and mask up, wash your hands, and just do right by your health, because health is wealth.
Very well put. So real quick, let's tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you.
Don't, please. I'm too busy. I'm just kidding.
Follow you
right?
on social media.
No, I'm totally kidding. I mean, you know, if we have I'm always open to new opportunities. I'm the chairman of the San Diego Hip Hop Health and Wellness 5K and Festival, co-chairman with Maurice Johnson. Shout out to Dawood Hassan and the full team. Too many to name. We do an annual 5K walk run in Southeast San Diego. So always looking to grow our wings, expand and network with local community partners that are in alignment with health and wellness. So Sulo will be talking offline about that. But follow me on Instagram at Carry On CEO. Again, that's at CarryOnCEO. And I'll lead you to my Facebook, Carleton Overstreet Jr. And also just reach out to Sulo and say, hey, man, that one guy that you had on that was talking about sobriety, how do I get in contact with him?
And I'll be posting your links when I upload this episode as well.
Thank you, sir.
And lastly, what kind of empowering message do you have for the listeners out there?
Teamwork truly makes the dream work. So carry on.
And you heard that from the CEO himself. Carleton, it's been an absolute pleasure sitting down and talking with you and catching up. And that wraps up another episode of The King's Couch. I'm your host, Sulo King, and I will see you guys next time.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.